like to think of music for video games as providing a function that is different from all other pictured media, whether you're talking about film or television. Somebody is actually performing an activity. They're holding a controller and they're doing something. And so that musical score is scoring the gameplay experience. In God of War 2, the character of the game itself is punching and driving, and swords are smashing into things. So there's an intense, percussive, slamming quality to the God of War musical score.
The God of War 2 score really tracks the intensity of the game as if it's just another player in there, like another invisible actor in there, just raging right alongside Kratos. I think one of the most impressive things is the fact that we can have multiple composers working on this project and end up with a very unique, cohesive sound.
We actually had 4 composers who are also on God of War 1. Gerard Marino, Mike Regan, Ron Fish, and Chris Velasco. We work closely up front with the director, Corey, to really kind of define what musical cues are going to be needed. And then we design a cue list. When we get all those cues from the composers, they're kind of raw materials. It's time for us now to kind of cut it all up and adapt it and make it work in the game itself.
We spot the game the same way that directors and composers sit together and spot a movie. And we're free to do all the different things that we can do in editing and in programming the music so that it sounds like you're actually hearing a cinematic score when you play the game.
This time around, we added a lot more live production. Some of the compositions are a little bit more complex and frenetic, and we really needed just like the best players to really pull this off.
And so we went to London for our brass. They just have an amazing sound. They're among the very best players in the world. And the brass plays a very important role in God of War. When they literally sight read their first cue, bam, it came out at us, and we were like, that's why we came. Same thing was true in Prague, where we got our strings, and we recorded a 40-voice choir. They got the music very quickly and put their hearts and souls into it.
The live music then comes back and has to be incorporated back into all of the source material we received, and just sounds incredible. The music production overall, like the rest of God of War 2, is a massive undertaking. I think it speaks a lot to the quality of the game we're working on, that everybody is working so hard and still having such a great time. It just clicks.
You really need a great video game to be a vehicle for a great score. And that's what we have with God of War 2, just like we had with God of War 1. I mean, you end up with an experience that really raises the bar of what people should expect from a video game.
We're combining synth tracks from the composers, brass from London, strings from Prague, choir from Prague, and all these elements coming together, whammo. It was like, okay, this is why we've done all this.
Today's important because it is the first playtest. It's the first playtest for the game, and it's the first playtest for me as a director. So it's kind of a monumentous occasion.
The week, it was long. It felt like about a month. So, you know, a lot of late nights, a ton of effort, a lot of putting out fires, a lot of running around. But it's typical of this industry.
Last night was rough for a lot of people, but they all pulled through, man. I'm wickedly impressed with this team. Yesterday all day, everyone's running around doing what they got to do and really kind of working like a well-oiled machine. So that was fantastic.
Problem after problem after problem, and we did as much as we could, and We got to the point where we couldn't think anymore, so we had to call it a night.
Welcome to the first official playtest for God of War 2.
Hopefully those guys are just smiling like, oh my God, this is the best.
Everything is being videotaped, and it's actually being fed down to another room. Multiple people can view it from multiple perspectives.
So far, everybody's fallen off the bridge. And we forgot to put a message on the chests. So nobody really knew how to do the chests to open them. I think one of the responses would be, man, this game is rad. Everything you did about it is so good. You guys rock. I want to be like you. In which case I would be like, oh, please, no. We'd be very excited, but also somewhat bummed because we wouldn't get much constructive feedback about how to make it better. The other extreme end would be, wow, this sucks. The first game was so much better. What happened? What did you do to it? And then, we would be sad. The third type would be the constructive criticism, like, oh, you know what, I felt this part was a little too hard. It would really be neat if you had better enemies. The level was confusing, and I got lost at this point, which would help us on our level flow, so we go, oh, okay, that's good, we can pick something up from there. So the third is the most desired response. Chat about just some thoughts. Good thoughts, bad thoughts, anything, just throw out stuff about overall experience of the level.
Integrating the puzzles with your exploration as well is great because you're constantly seeing something new even while you're solving puzzles, which is pretty cool. They had great results. I feel honored that they worked this hard just to put together a demo for us to play. That's pretty cool.
The stopping the time was real cool. That's real new. Couldn't do that before. That's gonna have a whole new aspect to the game. And so far, it really got me hyped up to see the rest of the game.
The game was received very well, even despite the little flaws that really bothered me and I wish we could have gotten fixed. People look past that. I just wanted to get everybody together. We just finished our first playtest of our first level that kind of has gone through the pipe, and it was received extremely well. It was great to see everybody kind of pulling together, and a great moment for everybody to see people enjoy it.
Those of you who are barely awake, go home.
Yes.
Okay, about 30 seconds away, people. Okay, people, let's do it. And a hush fell over the crowd as they ascended the staircase to Focus Test Central. First of all, welcome and thank you for coming. This is extremely important in our development process, so please be as brutally honest as possible. If you have any problems, Adam and Paul are here, and I think that's about it.
These guys don't have any preconceived notions of anything, so therefore they'll catch all the mistakes that we just take for granted. Games that really heavily playtest the product really elevate themselves very far above most other games. God of War 1 was playtested like crazy, and we benefited greatly from it. The levels we did in playtest on God of War 1 were the Hades blades, and you see how well those turned out. Fucking bounty volume thing on the trainers.
Yeah, the 2 pop away.
The 3 pop away.
Yo. Hey guys, please keep in mind they can't use the wind magic. We're watching number 3 right now, using the bow. Please ask them to stop.
Sometimes the way you talk is really annoying, Steve.
Well, you know what?
I just want you to know.
I find it
annoying.
annoying.
I think it's a friend, like, hey, you're walking too close to the edge.
And the obvious, when you have to tell people the obvious 8 times, gets annoying.
Well, there's 2 guys watching 5 monitors. Absolutely feel free to say whatever it is. None of us get any better unless we find out what's wrong. So Do not hesitate at all.
I don't know about the rest of you guys, but the surprise rock guy who popped out at you, that freaked me out. It was great. I mean, I know if I'm playing at 3 o'clock in the morning, that's going to scare the shit out of me. So that was really great.
I'd like to see exploding enemies.
Did you actually, on one of your things, say you wanted more screaming?
Yeah.
Okay. So.
Come on, that was good. See, I got a parking ticket this morning, and I was pretty pissed about it. And this type of game just makes me feel happy. Like, at the end of the day, if somebody fucks with me, I come to this at home, I just sit down, I beat the shit out of people, and they're like screaming blood everywhere, and I feel good.
That's fantastic. This guy is, you know, the epitome of the God of War fan. He's the type of guy that we totally appreciate as developers because he's so freaking into the game. He's also the type of guy we're probably scared to meet, you know, in the real world, like in a dark alley or something like that, because he's fucking out there as his love of violence.
I really wanted to see that thing topple onto an enemy's head and like smash him and have him like writhing in pain underneath the rock.
He may be taking it to the extreme, but I think everybody has maybe a piece of what he talks about, which is, I've had a bad day and I want to go home and I want to vent my helplessness at a situation at work out on something. And I don't want to do it in the real world. I play this game and I tear this guy apart and I feel powerful. Thank you very much, guys. This is awesome. This is really going to help us. We fared better than I thought we would, especially with how down I was this morning about it. So I'm psyched. Today we are testing the Rhodes level, which is the first level of the game, the opening sequence. Rhodes being the first level is exceptionally important to have that, you know, huge, epic opener, kind of topping what we did in the first game. It's got to be bigger than the Hydra. They come in here and some of the stuff is arted up. They have no preconceived notions on anything. They don't know how to use any of the stuff that we've been working with the whole time. So they get all these abilities and they're just like, what the hell? What's this do? I don't understand how this works. They don't understand that something only lasts for 8 seconds. Well, we totally get it because we said it's going to last 8 seconds. So it's a rude awakening to sit there and watch it and be like, oh, just do what I want you to do now. But, you know, teaches us.
We were discussing it earlier how strict the time limit was.
Playtesting like this is vital. The people in the studio, very close to the project, have played it a lot. You don't see the obvious a lot of times. So the feedback is always incredibly valuable because they're the target market. They're the guys that are going to spend their money to buy our game, and we're here to satisfy the fans.
Thanks again for coming in. We got a lot of work to do. We have 3 weeks until alpha. So looking at that, I know that we have some tough roads ahead of us for the next 3 weeks to get everything into shape, and it's time to go home.
Today is our second annual Halloween party. It makes the working and kind of the more grueling hours a lot more fun when we can have a good time.
Everyone, the party has begun.
Tensions are high. I've just recently had to cut a level. We're, I think, 6 or 7 months to alpha, so I've already had to start hacking away at my baby. We had a couple meetings. We were in character meetings and we were in effects meetings, and everyone was kind of getting really tense and really stressed out. This is a lot of stuff. This is more than we thought. You know, the realization that you've got some pretty hard roads ahead of you kind of hits everybody, I think, pretty hard. I had a meeting with the producer afterwards, and he was kind of like, you know, maybe you should think about cutting Atlantis. And I think he was partially joking, but he was also a little bit serious on, you know, hey, you may have to start making some cuts. And I was like, look, I'm not ready to make any cuts. I had that cheesy, like, what is that, Project Greenlight the first year when he was like, over my dead body, we won't get that. And it was kind of how I was, a little baby throwing a tantrum. And then I sort of realized, wait a minute, maybe this is for real. But in the end, I've learned a lot from that. Not that I'm so comfortable with it that I want to start cutting shit all over the place or anything, but I know that that's going to come again. most likely I'll be sitting here talking to you again about what I had to cut again, and maybe 2 or 3 times after that I'll just be like, I don't care, cut some more, you know? Maybe we'll just be cut crazy. We'll release it on like one of those really small discs, you know? God of War 2, 7.5 minutes long. Just kidding, it's not even gonna come close to that. The object of the game is to stomp out other people's balloons, much like other people's creative dreams, without having your own balloon or creative dreams stomped out. It's actually a great metaphor for game development. It's a group of people shooting at each other's ideas. Are you supposed to stomp your own thing or not? That's not really true, but it is.
I think if we can get all the balloons tied around everybody's ankle before they pop them themselves, we should be in good shape. Their pie or as much of their pie in 5 minutes or less. And Ashley, are you opting out? Come on,
Ashley. You're talking trash.
All right, I'll do it just because I like talking trash.
I'm kind of full right now. I don't know if I can handle this delicious pie.
I'm ready for this. I'm going to take it out. This is my pie.
One hand only. The other hand behind your back. First one to finish all their pie wins, or the first one to finish as much in 5 minutes. 3, 2, 1, eat!
Jason, how do you feel?
Fool. I got a few trophies and stuff. I got baskets of joy, and this is my plaque. My friend Kratos. I drink to him, I salute him.
I would say that I have an infinitely larger amount of respect for the concept of a game director. I never knew the half of it. I've never been nervous public speaking situations, but I am a fucking wreck for this thing. I'm going to basically be presenting the game, play through, and pray to God it doesn't crash. It'll be the largest I've ever seen this game projected, which just means any flaws are going to be like the size of a midget. All right, let's do this thing. It feels so much larger when you have a projected voice. Awesome. We are so completely set. It's crazy. I feel like one of those weekend seminar speakers. We loved God of War 2, but we're deaf now.
As long as they love it.
And that's really all that matters. I can feel loose. Feel loose. Feel ready to hit some buttons.
The gods of Olympus have abandoned me.
If the game crashes while I'm standing up there, it's the worst thing that could happen. Aside from me like sneezing and having snot hang out my nose during the press. Even then, I think that can have a funny spin to it. A crash is definitely not a good thing. So what we're gonna do is kind of go right into this little sneak peek, pulling up the curtain a little bit, demo. You guys are the first ones that are really gonna check this out.
Nothing will stop me in my quest. I will have my vengeance.
One of the things we're really excited about in this game is that Kratos has to journey to the edge of the world. So instead of just having him hop on a Pegasus and play a cinematic, we're actually going to make the player fight their way to the edge of the world. So this new gameplay experience is going to have the same combat system that we have on the ground, except you're going to be fighting these battles thousands of feet above the earth. So that part of the game is actually not necessarily directly linking up to this next part of the game. We wanted to give you guys kind of a diverse experience. So as in the last game, we're really kind of mixing up the environments. What we're doing in the second